I'm Roy Huseman from Equipment Zone. Welcome to this short tutorial for our DTF product for the f2100 using Garment Creator. Okay, the first thing that we're going to be doing is getting the actual DTF material, putting it on the platen. We do have material that fits perfectly on the platen as far as the 1416. I have the grip pad on my platen, and I found that having the grip pad, I don't really need to tape it down at all. And sometimes if you use a thicker tape, you might have to lower your platen further down, which I don't want to do. Right now with the grip pad, my platen height is at 2, okay? Then I'm gonna go ahead and show you in Garment Creator how to set it up real quick. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is bring in some artwork. So you can see I just brought in 3 different types of logos and went ahead and spaced them out evenly so I can cut them out. And this is actually a perfect product for doing, a left chest logo for a customer or doing something on a sleeve or what have you for a small design. So you can see as far as my settings go, I just use the standard level 3, and I know some people have been playing with this using level 1 or level 2. The situation is with level 3, I'm using a much smaller dot, and that gives me the ability to have a little bit better resolution. I'm also doing a unidirectional print to slow the speed down. So in between print passes, it's actually allowing the ink to dry a little bit to keep it from puddling on the material. Okay, there are other materials out there and some of them puddle quite a bit, and subsequently you have to run at a lower setting. But if you want to get that vibrancy, this would be the setting I would recommend. Okay, so level 3 unidirectional mode. And basically that's it. I did manipulate the color just to get a little bit more pop there. So I'm going to just go ahead and hit print. Obviously the other thing that I did was reverse the image, okay, flipping it the other direction. So let's go ahead and print. And come on over to the printer, wait for this to light up. And then we'll go ahead and print that. This, because there's so many images on here, it's going to take a little bit for it to print. So you need to anticipate that. And then once we do that, what I do generally is just hit it real quick with a heat gun so I can get my white on it right away. And that way I get a better adhesion. I don't want to have an issue with that. And then once it's done with the white, I'm going to go ahead and hit it with the heat gun again, just a little bit to keep too much powder from being applied to that or having the powder seep into the ink itself. Because what will happen is when you go to press it, you might get like little bumps everywhere on the image, and you don't want that to happen. So it's ready to print. Go ahead and let that print. So basically, when we're applying the powder, just got a small tray here. I know there's some things that we're looking at doing for automatically applying the material, but a little salt shaker works real well. Obviously you're going to tip it from side to side, but I want to really pinpoint the areas where the ink is with the material first. That way I'm not just pouring it on the whole sheet. The other reason why you want to kind of hit it a little bit with the heat gun is if there's any residual moisture around the outer perimeter, which is going to happen naturally with the ink going down on that film, some of that water and moisture is going to seep to the outer perimeter, subsequently picking up some of this material. So we want to make sure that the heat gun gets that to dry out a little bit, and you're going to have less of an issue with that when you go to do the transfer. While that's printing on that, I'm going to show you, I actually printed one a little earlier, And we can go ahead and kind of show you how nice and clean those are and how they came out. So while this is printing, it's almost done with that pass. I'm going to go ahead and set up the color, or I should say the white. So I'm going to share my screen again real quick. So I already have that set up, so I'm just going to go ahead and open it. Okay. So it's basically the same image. Just saving me a moment here. So here under the settings, I'm using just standard level 3. Okay. I know people have talked about doing the, instead of level, or actually dark colored t-shirt mode, actually doing the dark colored t-shirt white. But what happens with that is it's actually going to create a grayscale for the white base. It's not going to do the standard white. So I like to go with the standard, just the level 3. Again, unidirectional allows me to get that unidirectional where it lets me have a little bit of time in between passes to let that ink dry. And then on the ink density, I find just going to flat 50 on the -50 on the ink is giving me a little thinner white, and it's not overbearing as far as the texture and feel, where it doesn't feel that rubbery transfer feel when you go ahead and do the transfer. Anyway, just go ahead and hit print on that. And obviously we still have the image reversed. Now basically this color ink's down here, and I can go ahead, I'm just going to hit this just a little bit. Obviously, since I didn't tape this down, I don't want to be overbearing with the temperature or the moving this material around. So something to keep in mind since I didn't tape it. All right, just giving it a little minute to dry while this is coming over. And as soon as this comes over, then I can go ahead and hit print, and it's going to lay my white pass. I also added a 20-second pause, which is going to allow me to cancel in between the white and the color pass. Now we also have a rip, the Easy Rip Pro, and you can actually do where it's going to print the color first, then the white, so you don't have to worry about canceling. You can just go ahead and hit print. And we have some settings set up for the DTF in there for both the 2100 and the 3070. So right now it's laying down a nice thin coat of the white. And once that's done, then we can go ahead and hit it with the heat gun again for a moment, just to kind of, like I said, pull some of that moisture around the perimeter mainly of the print, because it's going to wet that material. Now our material looks matte on both sides. Some materials out there are shiny on one, matte on the other. On ours, it's obviously the upside is going to be the side you're going to print on. And if there is a concern of which one is which, or you flipped it or something happened, you can just wet your finger and you'll see that it's going to take the coating off of the side that is actually the part that has the emulsion or the coating on it. The one thing I do want to mention on this right now that I didn't mention earlier is there's a lot of, I guess, back and forth out there about people reducing your white area to or increasing the number from the 2 to a 3 or a 4, something like that as a starting point. I didn't adjust mine. I left it at 2. And on these logos, I can see that there's a nice hairline of color around the white. So the white isn't spreading over the edge of the color and isn't going to cause an issue for me. So, I would say, look at what you're printing first, especially if you're ordering the material from us, because ours tends to work well based on the settings that I just mentioned to you here. So So right now I am canceling it, and so I'm going to bring that back out as soon as it cancels. Okay, so right now I'm going to give it a quick, again with the heat gun, just to make sure that I don't have any excess moisture before I lay the powder down. Otherwise, it'll tend to stick to the film in areas it doesn't need to, which can get a little messy. You just want to try to avoid that. So that's what I got going on right now. So at this point, I'm just going to lay it in this tray. Again, this is just a cookie sheet, and I can concentrate the powder in the specific areas that I need it. Now, this material is reusable, by the way, if you keep it in a clean surface. So at that point, I'm just going to kind of give it one quick roll back and forth. And then go ahead and pop that down. If there's any areas that I think I need to look at, where there's a little bit of powder there, I can make sure those are off. So at this point, typically what I would do is just use some parchment paper, put that to protect my rubber real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and heat this up for about 20 seconds. We actually have a unit that you can purchase to heat up the bottom of the platen to give a better cure on here, because we also want to make sure that we're pulling the moisture out in between the ink layers before we actually do the transfer onto the fabric. So this is going to help with that process and make it a lot faster. So now I can go ahead and put film down and just do a quick cover, and I just let it go for 90 seconds here. And then once that is done, we have a close-up we'll show you here, and it should have like an orange peely look to the glue on there to get a nice transfer. That's basically it. Again, thank you for your time today. You have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.